Fantastic. Okay, good morning. I'm not
Whoops.
sure. Before we get started, we would like to do a land acknowledgement. So the ARPDC respectfully acknowledges that we are located on traditional lands across the province of Alberta on Treaty 4, 6, 7, 8, and 10 territories. This is the traveling route, gathering place, and meeting grounds for Indigenous peoples, whose histories, languages, cultures, and traditions continue to influence our vibrant community. We are grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and elders who are still with us today and those who have gone before us. We recognize the land as an act of reconciliation and gratitude to those whose territory we reside on or are visiting. Honoring the land in this way acknowledges the story of the creation of this country in a way that has historically been missing.
Great. Okay, Yulana, you want to start?
Sure. Welcome again. My name is Yulana Seletsky. I am a math consultant from the Edmonton Regional Learning Consortium. I am a math teacher who started teaching in 1983. So I know that some of you weren't even born then, but I started teaching in 1983, and like I said, this is my fourth math curriculum that I am working with. I have worked for Greater St. Albert Catholic Schools, and then I joined on with ERLC as a secondee in 2006 or 2005. And I have 3 children that are products of the last curriculum, last 2 curriculums actually. And I've seen a lot of things come and go, and what works, what doesn't work. Some things excited me, some things scare me. Some things I applaud. There's a lot of good stuff happening in Alberta. Betty?
Thank you. Yulana, that was really quick. And I'm co-presenting this week with Yulana. We also have a guest speaker this week. I'm Betty Morris. I am as well, my background is math. I'm originally from Edmonton Catholic School Division, where I was a teacher and a math consultant. From there, I went to Alberta Learning in learner assessment and then in new initiatives for curriculum, have done other various things, worked. That's really why I asked you where you were in India, because I did some work there as well, but in Delhi and Chennai. And then came home. I worked in Africa as well, came home, retired, and now I also work for ERLC as a math facilitator, a math consultant. And it's, again, it as well, to follow up on what Yulana said, it is just so great that you have taken the time to come to listen to us in the morning. Hopefully you have your coffee, maybe you're still in your sleepwear or your pajamas, something relaxing, and that this hour, this next hour and a bit will go by quickly for you. I'm going to be doing the bulk of today. So I will tell you a little bit about what we're going to do. I'll go to the, maybe, yeah, we need to do this first. Sorry, Yulana.
Okay. Kathy and Betty, you don't have your camera on, so people cannot see you.
You know what? The reason I don't, thank you for saying that. The reason I don't have a camera is I shut it off on purpose, because this laptop that I have, although I did get it updated on the weekend, I don't want to take the chance that it's going to be very, very slow. So I apologize for that.
Okay. And also, Madeline, do you want to tell us who you are?
Oh, yes. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Well, absolutely not necessary, but my name is Madeline Lemire, and I am with the ARPDC, one of the directors who works with the math team and who convinced these lovely ladies that July would work, but it's worked well beyond my expectations. And they were pretty spot on with how many would be here today. But great registration, lots of interest. So we're glad to be here supporting and being able to offer you these opportunities. I am just going to be in the background and helping the ladies out a little bit with the chat and letting people in and whatever else. I'm just in the background. So thanks, and wishing you all a great week of learning.
Oh, thanks, Madeline. And it is an honor to present with you, Lana. Let me tell you that. I have to add that in.
Oh, Betty, I think it's an honor to work with you. Betty and I like really just met, I don't know, a couple of months ago. So, and
Right.
after that, like I'm learning so much from Betty, and it's just awesome. And I'm looking at some of the people that are here. Like I see Kathy is here, and Kathy also used to work for ERLC. And I'll tell you, Kathy was an awesome person to work with. And it's so nice to see you here again, Kathy. Anyway, like I asked you to please find your chat and get on your chat right now, because our first question that we're going to ask you is, and do not answer anything yet. Please do not answer anything yet. When you think of teaching math in the fall, where would you place yourself with Betty's favorite little goats? As a one, it is like, I'm so scared to do this. To a 5 where, hey, this is chill. I can do it. This is no problem whatsoever. Everything is really awesome. What we're going to do is use it's called the waterfall effect in the chat box. And so what happens is I'm going to ask everyone to put a number 1 to 5. Where are you on the scale? And then I'll give everyone some time to think about it. And then I'll say, press return once you do that. Okay? And go. Press return.
Oh, look at them all.
Lots of people in the middle of the road.
In the middle, yeah.
Lots of people in the middle. I did see a 5, a few 5s, which is awesome, like sounding like you're just ready to go, and you could probably be leading this session. So if you are really confident, that's great. I hope you add something in while we're doing this. You might know something that we have missed and that you think is important for everyone to know. And I do see some 1s.
Yeah.
And so our goal is, at the end of all of this, is that you will leave on Thursday saying, I'm a 5 and I'm ready to go and I can relax for the rest of summer. Because really we need to make sure that we are relaxing and we replenish our souls and get ready for another year. Okay, thank you very much.
I'm just going to, before we leave this slide here, number 3, lots of people chose 3. That is my favorite too. Only because I don't know whether it means kind of, for me, it's just like, oh, I'm not sure. I'm kind of sitting on the fence, or this is too much. Like, there's different ways to look at it, but I just love the way that little goat is just kind of, I don't know what to do. I don't know whether to go the other side or this side. So very, very cute. And it is good that we did this, because I'll just go to the next slide. I'm going to talk about our 4-day agenda. And while I talk about that, what we're going to do for the next 4 days, each day that you come in, you will use the same link and come into the session. So I'm going to go through the 4 days right now, just very quickly. This is a very high-end, broad view of what we're going to do, so that you have a sense of what is coming. And then at the end of every session, at the end of the session on that day, we will review and tell you what's coming up next. So in particular for today, it's really important for you to understand that, because I see there's some 4s and 5s. We have a lot of 3s. We're going to do some background on the new curriculum. And we did give you, when you registered, we gave you 2 short videos to watch. I'm going to go under the assumption that some people may have watched it. I'll do a little brief review of what those videos are. So we will know the conception or the creation, the background behind how this was developed. We're going to look at navigating the website very little, and what I'm going to do more so is look at the important features. So you may have gone through the website already, some of you may have not, and this is part of maybe the difficulty sometimes in doing a session where we have people who are at various places on the spectrum. So I'm going to give a little bit of the beginning, and then we're going to go and take a deep dive into really understanding what that organizing idea, guiding questions, and the learning outcome with the cusps, what do they really mean, and what is the intent of the learning behind them. So you may have read them, but we're going to get into a little bit deeper with that. So that will be today. So it's going to be an overview, but we are going to look at those critical components today. Then we'll go on to day 2. We're going to look at, Yolanda will look at what's the difference between numeracy and mathematics, because numeracy is it's a word that a vocabulary term that we're using a lot of. So what is the difference between the two? We're going to look at learning progressions, and then we're going to go into a very detailed look at all the ARPDC resources that are going to support you next year. And there have been a lot under development, and we'll go through those. Specifically looking at a learning outcome on the order of operations. We wanted to give you something to go into the learning outcome the organizing idea into something that's brand new and that spans all grades 4 to 6. For day 3, we're going to take a look at, we're going to have someone come in to talk about unpacking the student action verbs. And those are the verbs that you see in your skills and procedures. So what do they mean? What do they look like? What are some examples of the grade 4 to 6 curriculum using those verbs? And then on the last day, we're going to look at manipulatives, because you've used manipulatives all throughout the years, but we're going to look at them in light of new concepts or learning outcomes within the new curriculum, which is going to be fractions and integers. So what are some manipulatives that you can use for those, and what would that look like? Now, maybe, Yolanda, if there's any questions in the chat as we go along, you can interrupt me and say we have a question that deals with that. I know that we've got some comments in the chat right now, but feel free, Yolanda, at any time to interrupt. So here's what I'm going to review again. Here's what we're doing today. So we're going to look at that new curriculum. We're going to look a little bit at the website, and we're going to specifically look at the math. And there may be, you may have gone through it, but there may be something today that's different or new that will spark your interest or remind you.
And then before Betty goes on, I am going to tell you that you will receive a recording of today's session in the mail from ERLC. You will also receive a copy of all of these slides and all of the links, which we will send out in August, as this session is being repeated in August. And so once the sessions have been repeated, we will send everybody all of the slides so that you can use them in your districts, in your school, or wherever, and it'll have a link to everything that we are talking about during these 4 days. Okay, and so please make sure that if you have any questions, you just put it in the chat, and we will make sure that we get to answer your questions. So go ahead, Betty.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so what we're going to start with is we're going to navigate the new Learn Alberta website, but I'm going to start with some major documents. So we're just going to go through some of the major documents that you need to be aware of that were created, that were the inception of this new curriculum and where it all started. So the very first thing we have, of course, is the ministerial order on student learning. And so this document, and I'm going to go into it, this direction for curriculum. And Yolanda, if you wouldn't mind putting we're going to give you, we'll put the URLs into the chat room for you so that you can, if you need to go through them or review them at any time, you can, or at least if you know where they are. So this is where it started in 2020 on this ministerial order on student learning. And this is what led the development. So this is a very short document. What was the vision? What were the foundations for learning? I do have to say that there were, throughout the province, a lot of groups that met together. I was fortunate enough to be one of them that actually it was like in 2017 or 18 where this all started, where groups from across the province came together to talk about what they would see as the vision for I worked in math for all the curriculums. Specifically, I worked on the math one, and then everything came together. So what were the vision, what were the foundations? What would be the outcomes for learning? What did we want students to walk away with in all subject areas? And that was the first document that came through. Whoops. The next document and a very important one is the guiding framework. And the guiding framework, this document is for all curriculum, I should let you know. So this provided, after all the research was done, the direction was given, go ahead and start building it. This framework provided the guidelines to help parents and educators understand the curriculum development. So it was meant to be a side-by-side document that said, as we do this, we will continually get input from the stakeholders. But it also was meant more for us as educators to guide that curriculum development. So what do we want to see across all the subject areas? What do we want students to learn and in what order? How are we going to divide that up into the grades that we are in our current structure? So this guiding framework, I'll open it now, just to give you an idea. It's well worth going through. I have to put this one. It is a little bit of a fairly lengthy document, but I'm just going to show you the table of contents. So it has the guidelines for how the various subject areas. Most of you are going to be teaching, of course, other subject areas besides the mathematics. So you're going to be able to see those similarities and differences between the two. What the curriculum is, what the structure was, the note on the Indigenous perspective or the FNMI perspective, the Francophone perspective, the inclusion. So all of that, and it talks about the various components. I'm going to go into a little bit more depth to kind of help you understand very quickly what the various components, like the organizing ideas, guiding questions and so on are. But this document has everything there for you if you want to read this. It's a good little document to read together in the fall as a staff, maybe take it apart, do a jigsaw. Very easy to read, lots of good information. Now, based on that, the guiding framework and the ministerial order, then an implementation timeline was met. So I'm just going to briefly go through this. I'm just going to look mainly at the blue ones. So this blue box was in September of last year, and that's where we saw the K-3 mathematics start. And they were doing mandated implementation of that. And some of the schools, and you may have been very well have been one of them, the 4 to 6s were able to do optional implementation for grade 4 to 6. And there were schools and districts that actually did decide to go with optional implementation. I know of one entire district that made that choice to go through that. And if you are here at this time, it's great because this will be a review for you. You've gone through it. You'll see if there's anything that you still need to review. Wonderful if you're here. Now I'm just going to quickly go to September of 2023, which is where we are here. We are now, where we're going to implement the 4 to 6, the ELAL, which is something you will be doing, and the 4 to 6 mathematics. So now the 4 to 6 curriculum has been signed off, and there were a few little changes, and it's good to go so that in September you'll be able to get started. And we will talk about support resources. As I said, during the week, we're going to talk about some of the resources on ARP's PDC that are going to really help you throughout the year, and also the resources that are on the Learn Alberta site. And then you can see that they're grade K to 3 are going to be doing the science, the fine arts, and the full French language and literacy, and the French immersion language and literacy. And then just to let you know that in September of 24, which you probably already know, then you are going to go with the 4 to 6 fine arts, the science, and the language and literacy in both the French, full French, and the French immersion, plus the K to 6 social studies. So September 24th is going to be a little bit heavy. Okay.
There is a question.
Oh,
There is one question. Do we know when the grade 7 to 9 curriculum will be
oh,
available
good
online?
question.
And the answer at this point is no, we don't.
Yeah.
Have no idea where they are with this, and with the new Minister of Education now, things might again change. So no, we do not know. And also there's a question about social studies was back at the drawing board, and there is no pilot. No, not yet.
Yeah, there's no pilot. Yeah. As far as I know, that it's still holds still for 2024, but I other than that, Yolanda, I don't know anything else. Yeah, not for social studies.
And then another question, do we know if some people are piloting grade 4 science this fall? Yes, we do know that there are people that are piloting. Yes, there are boards that are piloting as a whole board, never mind just a classroom.
Right. And there are some support resources that you can get started on and looking at for the science as well.
So and when we show you the math ones, you'll see where the science ones are.
Yes, yes, thanks. Thank you. I lost my train of thought. I was gonna, what was the first question, Yolanda? Sorry, about
grade 7 to 9.
Oh, yeah, okay. That is an excellent question. One of the things I'm going to recommend, and I'll say it right now in case I don't forget, it's for all of you who are here this morning, the 4 to 6, because of the changes that are happening within 4 to 6, in particular, those topics or concepts we're going to talk about this week, which is fractions, integers, order of operations, all of those have come down. Well, a good majority of the student learning has come down for junior high. So what I'm going to say to all of you to think about in the fall, if any of you are principals or you go back to your districts or your schools, if you are in particular, if you are in a K to 9 school, and if you're not in the district, if you're close to a junior high, I feel it's very, very important that at some point this year that the junior high math teachers and the 4 to 6 teachers have to come together, because right now you're going to be teaching some student learning that the junior highs are going to be currently doing as well. But I think it's important to have that critical conversation about what is coming down, what the junior highs, their take on what these learning outcomes are, and to have that discussion and work together. I know some districts have already planned that. I'm actually doing a session in the fall where I'm meeting with the junior high and the elementary teachers. So. Oh, there was a comment?
Yeah, Amy says that she taught grade 7 for the last 16 years, and now she's teaching grade 4, 5, 6 math, and she's gone through the curriculum. There's only 3 items that are not from grade 7 and 8 math.
That are not in grade 7 and 8 math?
All of the outcomes are from, except for 3. Are from grade 7 and 8.
Yeah. So that's why a lot of that work, thank you, Amy, a lot of that work, because it's brought up now, I'll mention it. We're going to mention it throughout the week, though, on the last day. You need to look at the ARPDC, the ERLC, or whatever region you're in, and look for those sessions, because we're going to be doing a lot of sessions on the grade 4 to 6. I've already started. I'm going to be repeating them, and we're going to go learning outcome by learning outcome, because it's going to be so important for you to understand. Yeah, good point. Okay, I'll go back to these documents then. So now these are some of the documents that are on the Learn Alberta site that are going to New Learn Alberta site that are also going to help you. So I'm just going to go through a few more documents on the site. I won't go through them in detail, but they're important for you to know. So one is the teacher guide, and it used to be called the curriculum guide initially, and then now they changed it to the teacher guide. So the teacher guide is, this is going to take you, again, it's quite a few pages long, but it's very visual. And this is the detailed approach to the site. So I'm going to take you through a few features, but this particular document, if you have any questions, there is an FAQ on the site. But if you have any questions, or just to go through the table of contents to look at what is the site, how to provide feedback. This is a big one. How to create an account. We're not sure. Some of you may have already logged in and created an account. Some of you may not even know where that is, that I didn't even know I had to create an account. But this is going to show you how to create your account and how to go through the various pieces of the website. The other big feature in this book is the boards. We're going to show you the boards, and those are, it's like resources that have been created by teachers throughout the province, for teachers throughout the province. So you need an account for that. And everybody contributes to the board, adds to other people's boards, lessons, strategies, visuals that you can use. And this document will kind of go through that for you. And maybe you'll want to look at the boards first, and then you want to come back here to see anything that you've missed. So it gives you all the logistics of what to do. It's a very good guide. It's a little bit lengthy, but it's good to have. Whoops. Not the best laptop here. The other document is the subject overview, and this I'll just go straight there. This is all on the website. I'll show you where you can find them. You're going to get the URLs here. So this particular document is, again, it's general. It's for all subjects for you to have, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to go down. Nope. This one is just math, sorry. There's one for each subject area. It says right here, math, not the general one. So this particular document is going to give you a general overview where the shifts are, where the focus is in the new curriculum. Spatial reasoning has a huge focus now in the math curriculum, and Yolanda, when she talks about numeracy tomorrow, she can talk a little bit more about it. But it tells you what's current, what's new. You can see fractions, number for facts. It goes up to 12 times 12 now, where the operations are. And of course, now we've got operations and fractions. So what's current and what's new? But again, it's just a general overview. And then each grade, what are the snapshots? So here's grade 4 to 6, just a very general overview. I will bring this up because it'll say grade 4, add and subtract within 10,000. And then immediately it says in grade 5, add and subtract within 1 million. So some of the teachers ask, well, usually it says 100,000 in between, but it isn't the case right now. So from grade 4 to grade 5, if they understand the patterns, if they understand place value, the notion is that they can then work up to 1 million. So they have to add and subtract up to 1 million. And then we're looking at grade 6, where we start, and grade 5, where we start looking at adding and subtracting decimals, and then adding and subtracting fractions as well. And the bridging document, this is the last one. This is a specific to each grade level. So this is just a little snapshot, and this tells you, will indicate for you this is grade 4, what was in the previous curriculum and what they will be doing this year in grade 5, and the suggestions to support the bridging. Now, this previous curriculum for grade 5 and grade 6, you haven't had it. So again, that in our sessions that we do through the consortiums, we talk about that. We'll talk about it when we speak to order of operations tomorrow and fractions and integers. The fact that in particular, the 5s and 6s, you're going to be working with grades where they have not had the new curriculum from the previous grade. So there's going to be a little bit of catching up to do, and we're going to talk about suggestions for that. Okay, so here's the website. This is just a slide of the website, and we're going to get into it. And I'll point it out here in the top right. This is the login. This is where you want to create your student teacher account so that you can have access to various resources, including any resource that's on the Learn Alberta site, plus the boards. So this is what it looks like when you first come to it. I'm going to click it on. We're just going to go through it very quickly. I'm just going to highlight the main features. So when you come to the site, this is the page that you'll come to. Always look at the recent announcements, because it will give you the timelines, but there may be something new that will be added. So this one says now the Mathology little books are now available. So those are going to be free for you. They're on the site. You'll be able to use them and it doesn't matter whatever resource you have. They're great little books. They are a resource. And look for any new resources that come on to the site. And it also talks about new features and when there's planned outage. And I always have to watch that. And usually they're on the weekends. Okay, so it does say here that they're on Thursday now, Thursdays to Fridays from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. And I'm not saying that that's a good time, because some of teachers, that's when they plan. Is 11 o'clock at night, and then the ongoing improvements. And then we've got our features here, and we can click on these little boxes. I'm going to start with the curriculum implementation in the information hub, because this is kind of a follow-up from what I just showed you. So this is where all the documents are, where all the information is, and videos. Now, the short videos that we sent to you that you may have perhaps have watched are on this tab as well. So we have information for parents, and then we have information for schools, and that's where teachers, and that's where you're going to go. So there's your bridging documents on the right. There's your subject specific interviews. That was overview. Sorry, that was the document that I showed you about math. Your timelines, some professional learning, and usually it's in the form of videos, and then the resource guide. This provincial resource guide just gives you an idea of how they review resources. A lot of publishers will go there just so that they can get a sense of what they want. So this is a good place for you to visit for those specific documents if you want to print them out and have them in your hands. And you can see on the side there's always the sidebar that will take you to the various components. So I'm just going to do this very quickly, only this kind of out of turn, but I want to show you the resources just so that you have an understanding. And again, here's the login. That's very important. You can log into your account, log into your school account, and it's best to go through your school, and then I'm new, sign me up. And if it will walk you through how to sign up, but you also remember have that teacher guide document that's going to help you as well. So I'm not going to do that, but I'm just going to log in. I'm not logged into the locked ones yet. I have to do that, do my account yet for that. So, but there's a lot of this stuff is free. So here's your resources, and you have a filter. So you can do resources, resource collections. That's mainly what we used to call the breadth, where they have multi-components to it. You have online resources and information only. So I just go straight through here, the grades. I'm going to click on grade 4 to 6. See what we have available. You can see them all come up. You can I'll click on math. And I'm going to click on all types. I'm going to select all just so that you can see. Okay. And then you can also collect who the audience is, whether it's for teachers, for parents. I usually go to teachers and learners, but there's some that are just for teachers. I'll go to the learner. And then the format, which is audio, I'll select all. There are, by the way, great virtual on sites here. And then the language, and I'll do both English and French. So Okay, and then as you do it, it all comes up. So you can see we've got lots of gizmos, and you can see the green little lock. That means that you have access to that. I can click that on, it will take me to adding and subtracting integers. And I'm going to recommend, as we go through the week, we'll say it again, that if you use something like Gizmos, which is available, and you do adding and subtracting, even if you're not going to use it, it's a great way for you to practice understanding addition and subtraction. So whether you use Gizmos or whether you use maybe the Pearson has a great one that we use. There are lots of virtual manipulatives. You are going to get at the end of the week, you are going to get slides with all of the sites that we use, that Yulana and I have used through the week, plus extra. So there are these from Learn Alberta, but there's also other ones as well. But it's a great way for you yourself to understand the math behind it. So and it goes through, and then you can just choose the ones that you want. Now again, I can't get into boards because I haven't. It'll be locked. I'm trying to find one that's locked. The locked will have a little red lock here, and it'll be locked, so you won't be able to get in. And that's why it's so important to create your account. You'll have to wade through this, go through it, have a look, see what's there. I'm going to go to the curriculum now. There are different ways that the curriculum is presented. I'm going to show you one way, and then you can print it and it can look a little bit different. The curriculum, I have to say, in the new curriculum, is the way it's presented here is very, very flexible. So you can print 3 grades, you can print 1 grade. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. But I want to emphasize that it does give you a very flexible optional approach to if you wanted a print copy or a hands-on copy of the curriculum. So I'll go to math. You can see here, I'm going to the math, but on the left side, it says printable curriculum, but I'll go to math just to show you what it looks like. And I'm only going to show you the structure. We're going to get into the components in a bit. So you have more information here, and this gives you what is mathematics. My laptop, I'm noticing, is a little bit slow. And then we have the understanding of the definition of numeracy, quantitative, and spatial information. So I'll get rid of that. And then I'll just go to grade 5 because it's in the middle, just so you can see what it looks like. And this is movable pieces, like you can collapse it so you can just see the organizing idea if that's what you want. Here's grade 5 and grade 6. If I want, I can go to the previous. So I can see 4, 5, and 6 together. I like this view, the 4, 5, and 6, because this is what's new, the new 4, 5, and 6. So I need to see what comes before, and if I'm grade 5, sorry, and I need to see what comes next. Also, it's great if you just want to do 2 grades, you can just do 5, and 6 if you have a combined 5 and 6 or a combined 4 and 5. Some of you may have a cluster of 4, 5, and 6, and so you'll have this together. So this is really nice to see. Now you can collapse it to see the organizing ideas, but I'm going to just show you how it works. So there's it goes straight across, and then we have our guiding questions, and they're all related. So that's why they're side by side, and your learning outcomes, and then you see your knowledge, understanding, skills, and procedures all together like that. So it quite a bit of text to read, but it goes across and you can see the progression. So I'm going to go here. And this little print button, I'll go back again. This little print button is very, very important. It's a little find that some of us found at the beginning that is really good to know about. So this means that now I can print whatever grade I want. So what do I want to print? I'm going to print the curriculum, which components, it gives me that option. I'm going to print all of them, but I'm only going to print, I'm going to unselect all, and I'm only going to print grade 5. And it's going to immediately generate this PDF. So if I'm the grade 5 teacher, I'll just go over here. And there's my grade 5. What I like about this, it's just grade 5. And even if I'm a combined grade, or if I'm even 3 grades, what I like about this it sections it off. So this is my organizing idea, and I'm going to go down to the learning outcome. So this is the learning outcome and the cusps, or the knowledge, understanding, skills, and procedures that go with it. So it's kind of like all there in one. We do have an ARPDC document that in the form of cards that is also similar to this that we'll show you tomorrow. See, here's another cluster. This is a different learning outcome, and these are the cusps that go with it. And cusps is short for knowledge, understanding, skills, and procedures for those of you who are just starting to look at the 4 to 6 curriculum, because you've been so busy with your regular program. So you can see how it works like that, where it goes all down in groups. I'm just going to go a little bit further to this one. Okay, and I'm going to show it to you in a different look. This is also really important. It's in the teacher guide. There now, for this learning outcome, there are boxes, and it's just important for you to know that it's showing that it's, even though it's one learning outcome, this group in this row, they go together. So when you look at the knowledge, understanding, skills, and procedures in that row, the students will learn, you'll do the teaching, the strategies together, and then this particular row. So it's just showing you that they cluster together. So, and that's not always the case, but sometimes you'll see that. So it's important for you to read across this row first to see that those cusps are connected. So that's when you just print it off. So I'm going to go out of this one. And again, you have it in this format. Now I could do 2 grades if I want that, and I would get the same thing. I'm going to go to the printable one just so that you can see what that looks like. And again, it looks very similar, but this one has the competency progressions, the literacy progressions, and the numeracy progressions. Now, those, so you click them on, you can print them off. We're going to talk about those in a minute, in a little while, but you know that they're here as well, and they're very important to the math curriculum. So I'm just going to show you what this one looks like. So if I do K to 6, so this is where you get, it's the same look as what you just saw, but it is all of it. So sometimes if you are a numeracy, the numeracy lead for the school, or you might be the learning coach, or someone at the district level, you might be the math consultant or the director. If you want to have, this starts K1, 2, but it will eventually move all the way up to there's 3 and 4, and then there'll be 5 and 6. So this is the whole curriculum all together. And it is clustered together by outcome and the cusps. Some teachers, they use this and they'll run it off on large paper so that they have it all together. And again, it depends on your needs. And that's why, again, why I say it's flexible, because you can do 1 grade, 2 grades, 3 grades, or all of them, however you see fit, what's ever important for you. And it's always good to go back when it's a new curriculum. Now, I'll just click on the competency progressions. We're going to talk about what they are, but you can see here they are. And then you can print those off here very nicely, very nice and easy for you to print off. So again, so that you have them. Okay, I'm going to move out of the Learn Alberta. I just wanted to show you the curriculum pieces, and we're going to talk about the other features as we go along. Now, know that you've got support here on the right-hand side. There's an e-tutoring hub with videos, little vignettes, very short, that you can go through, and any questions you have. So I'm going to go out of this, go back
Betty,
to...
Can I just pause for a second?
Yeah.
I just wanted, I don't know if everyone's following along in the chat, but I'm putting in all the links that Betty's going to as we're going through, as Betty's going through all this. But if you just want to sit back and just watch what Betty's doing, I am going to give you all of those links in one place at the end of the session today. So you don't have to keep saving everything. Everything is saved for you on some slides, and we'll share those. So you do not have to keep clicking and then saving and clicking and saving. All of that is done for you. Sorry, I should have told you guys that at the beginning. Maybe I did, but it's all here.
It's perfect. Yep. And again, thanks, Yolana. And again, you will get them again with all the slides. You'll have all of that. You'll get slides with all the sites on them. So you'll have them there as well. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So This is just to remind you, this is one of the videos, the Curriculum 101. I think that was one of the ones that we asked you to look at before. But again, it's about 12 minutes. Oh, this one is 18. Some of them are 12 or 10 minutes. Again, it'll go through what I've just gone through. It'll go through it with some other features, again, some background, some more information. But that's just there for you if you want to have a look at that. Now, do you want me I won't open it up, Yolanda, because it was given to them at the beginning. So
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
can go back and see. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So now what I'm going to take you through is we're going to actually really look at those organizing ideas, guiding questions, learning outcomes, and cusps that go with it. So I'm going to take you through a detailed approach. And again, I apologize for those of you who kind of went through these videos, and this maybe look upon this as just a refresher. Maybe I'm going to give you some new information, a different way to look at it, or something more to think about, something that you missed. And for those of you who are new, you will go through this, and then you may want to revisit it through any of the information or the documents or the videos. Okay, and this is just to let you know, just a reminder that curriculum is the what to teach, and that's what this document is. It does talk about the what you have to teach, what we want students to know, understand, and be able to do. And the how will come from your expertise. It will come from resources. You may get the cusps actually sometimes spark ideas, and it will also come from the documents that we're going to show you throughout the week. So there is support for you. Okay, the bottom piece is this spiral that you see with the various colors is the important piece. But just a reminder that if you have gone to any of the other subject area information sessions, that what you're going to see in math, this organization, this spiral that you see with the colors is across all subject areas. So whereas before it was a little bit different, some people had strands, some people had topics, some people didn't have substrands, and maybe it was the learning outcome was not kind of been learning outcome versus specific learning outcome. There were different depending on the subject. What they've done now is that you're going to have that common language. So the architecture and the design, what I just showed you is going to be the exact same for all the subjects now. And the learning outcomes is consistent across the subject areas, and the language is clear and concise. There are going to be vocabulary terms, and you're going to find this a lot in math throughout the year that you're going to have to refresh, you're going to have to learn, maybe concepts you're going to have to look at understanding a little bit deeper than before, but there'll be, again, that support. And then this spiral that you see. So all of the subject areas will have this organizing idea, guiding question, learning outcomes, knowledge, understanding, skills and procedures, literacy, numeracy, and competencies throughout all the areas. And there you see it there. So what I'm going to do is take you through within math, I'm going to take you through an example of an organizing idea, and we're going to follow it through the guiding question, learning outcomes, and so on. So you can see that continuity, that progression, that flow. So let's start. I'm just going to we're going to start with the organizing ideas. This slide just shows you what you're coming from and where you're going in the new curriculum. So you can see that we had math strands. We've actually changed the term. They're now called organizing ideas. And before, when we are, especially in patterns and relations where we had variables and equations and patterning, now those have been split up into algebra and patterns, and the same with the shape and space. So those where they were substrands within shape and space. So now we've gone from 4 to 8 in math, and including statistics. So our organizing ideas, what are those? So those are like, we can say they're like the strands. They are the overarching learning within a given section of a subject area. It says that in the first bullet that they're statements. I'm going to talk to that a little bit in a minute. The important thing is that they're statements. They're not just a term now, strands like number, like shape and space. They now are the term, number, but there's a statement that goes with it. So this is, what do we want students to learn at the end of the day as they go out into life, into whatever they do on a daily basis? What are those big ideas that we want them to learn? They're logical categories that communicate the goals of education. They span some or all of the grades. That means, what is it we want with number that for all students? And that's how big it is, which is going to be things like comparing, counting, and operating with. And they begin with the end in mind. So where do we want those students to be? And some of the organizing, what the organizing ideas consider, or what they include, is the body of knowledge, the facts, the rules, the symbols, the concepts, but also the skills, the strategies, and the processes. And you're going to see that recur again and again, that body of knowledge, that information, that understanding, the conceptual understanding, and the process, the skills and strategies. You're going to see that within the organizing idea, within the guiding question, and within the learning outcome, and then right down into the cusps. So this is a very simple diagram of the organizing ideas. And you can see I've just written the term on that. The one that we're because we're so used to just calling it by its strand, algebra, and where it spans. So that organizing idea, that statement that you're going to see in a minute, is the same right through K to 6. You can see algebra starts in grade 3. Although some teachers in primary say, no, algebra starts, actually, the students are dealing with equations and expressions in K to 2. But formally, it will start in grade 3. Geometry, coordinate geometry is separate now for 5 and 6. And then you see all the rest of them. Time is its own organizing idea, as well as statistics. And it will include the data. This next one, this is the one I prefer to use, and it's on the website, the New Will Learn Alberta website, because it has the statement. So what is it that we want students to walk away with in number? Quantity, which is so important, is measured with numbers that enable counting, labeling, comparing, and operating. And you can see yourself, that's going to cover everything from simple addition of single digits to addition to operating with fractions, decimals, and integers. So that's the big idea that we want. And algebra's equations express relationship between quantities. So it's good to have both of those. That statement is really important. I'm going to go to the guiding questions and the learning outcomes, and then I'm going to put them all together in an example. So the next piece is the guiding question, which is the pink part. So the guiding questions, this is the one that's kind of teachers, when I work with them now, it's the one that seems to be the most, I'm not quite sure of, because it's in the form of a question. But basically, the guiding question kind of bridges that understanding between the organizing idea and the learning outcome. They're informed by the organizing idea. They set the direction to guide the student learning, which is the learning outcome. It's in the form of a question. So they raise questions. They're great for, if you want to talk, you can even ask that question for student conversation or student discussion. They include those debatable questions, and they're open-ended and engaging. Now, some teachers are saying at the beginning, they're not quite sure, will I use them? It's important for you to see that progression, how it breaks down from the organizing idea to the guiding questions, but you need have a look at them and see, maybe this is when I start this learning outcome, maybe this is a question I want to ask the students. You'll see what one looks like. And then the learning outcomes, learning outcomes that you're very familiar with. So they describe what students are required to know, understand, and be able to do by the end of the grade. And we always knew that. That's what we always worked with. But you can see the word know, understand, and be able to do, which is the knowledge, understanding, and skills and procedures. And that's one of the good things about why the cusps now are organized the way they are and titled the way they are. They must be assessed and reported. So it is at the learning outcome level that Alberta Learning is mandating that students need to be assessed at that particular level. That's not to say that when we get to the cusp that you're not going to do check for understandings, but they're to be assessed, it's at that learning outcome level. And they include one or more concepts that are the focus for the learning and assessment. And that you're familiar with that, because learning outcomes sometimes are multi-component, they're complex, and you have to break them apart. So let's see what this looks like. This is an example from grade 4. So we have the organizing idea, which is number. Quantity is measured with numbers that enable counting, labeling, comparing, and operating. The guiding questions, I'm choosing fractions. There's based on the learning outcome. How can fractions be characterized in different ways? And then the learning outcome is students can apply equivalence to the interpretation of fractions. I'm just going to break this down a little bit. So we're going to start with quantity. We're going to look at numbers. You can see I've bolded them. And we're looking not specifically at fractions. So the guiding question is breaking it down further for us. And it says, how can fractions be characterized in different ways? Well, fractions can be represented in many, many ways. They look differently. We use them in different ways for different purposes. So fractions are multi-complex, but in this particular learning outcome, we're only looking at equivalence. So you can see how it breaks it down. And you know then that the cusps are going to deal with equivalence. So we're only looking at that right now for grade 4. So that's one of those little clusters. And now we're going to go look at the knowledge, understanding, skills, and procedures. And so these are going to support this learning outcome. So what are the knowledge, what are the different components? So the knowledge, they're contextual, they're statements. It doesn't necessarily say it here, but you're going to see that both the knowledge and understanding are now statements. You will be able to, you're going to see this, this is what equivalent fractions are, this is they can do, equivalent fractions can. It's always in a statement, and it's a statement that the children need to understand. They can be reused. They need to be applied in order to be maintained. So you have to use them all, use that knowledge to help build that understanding. And that's the last one. They include the facts and build toward understanding and skills and procedures. So this knowledge component, and you'll see the grade, builds onto that understanding. Now, what is the understanding? It's about putting those pieces of knowledge, those statements, into a meaningful order to support students in understanding the concepts. In this case, it would be equivalence of fractions. So what are the knowledge statements? What do we know about what equivalent fractions are? I'm jumping ahead of myself, I'm sorry. But then putting those pieces into an order, into meaningful order and understanding so that you can then apply them. It's more complex than knowledge, and it supports the students to transfer their learning in new situations. And then the skills and the procedures. What students do to demonstrate this knowledge that they've learned from these statements, this understanding that they've put together. How are they going to demonstrate that understanding? And that's where the verbs are going to come in. And there are specific tools, strategies, and methods that students develop to achieve that outcome. So those specific tools, strategies, and methods, that's going to come from you, your expertise, your experience, support from the resources. So how can we put those two together so that we can demonstrate that they have that understanding? So again, this is the example. So I'm going back to fractions here. We've got our organizing idea, our learning outcome, which is applying equivalence, and this is the knowledge. These are statements. Equivalent fractions are associated with the same point on the number line. Now, just before we go on with this, you'll see that I put some words in blue. So numbers, fractions, equivalents, you can see how the progression, and now it's going to talk about equivalent fractions within the knowledge, understanding, skills, and procedures. So you can see again how it works its way down. Now the statement, equivalent fractions are associated with the same point on the number line. What I'm going to say to you now, if you've not already looked at this, these knowledge and understanding statements, you're going to have to really spend some time in some of them. Fractions is a new one, in thinking about them and what that means. So you need to, what you're going to get is support with the sessions or in your resources or people that you work with. You need to get a visual and a really good kind of an intuitive understanding of especially the new ones, as this one teacher said, who said that so much has come down. So equivalent fractions are associated with the same point on the number line. Now that's basically saying that, you know, on the number line, that 1/2 is the same as 2/4. You'll see it at the same place. And you'll think of what the number line looks like. It could be divided into fourths. Obviously, if I'm going to do 2/4, it could be divided into eighths. It could be divided into tenths. So you've got to try to work with these different number lines, but the students need to know that that is at the same point. They need to know that equivalent fractions that can be created by partitioning each equal part of a fraction in the same way. I've worked with math my whole life, my whole teaching career. And I myself, I have to go through this, and I have to actually, for this one, I had to actually take a strip of paper and I had to fold it. I had to partition it so I can really see that if I partition a paper that's folded into half and I partition each of those halves into quarter, that I will have the same fraction. So 1/2 is equal to 2/4. So you actually have to visually think about this and do it. And that's why, again, and do it with your students so that they really know, this is the know, they know that statement. And then partitioning a fraction can be interpreted as multiplying the numerator and denominator of a fraction by the same number. Now, that's a simple rule: multiply the top by 2, multiply the bottom by 2. But that statement is a follow through from the second statement, because when you partition, you can see that if I partition my 1/2 into 2, I'm multiplying by 2. So, and then when I look at the whole thing, I see that I'm multiplying all of the pieces by 2, which is the denominator. And I'm saying this very quickly, but you actually have to physically do that and with the students so that they know those statements, which lead to there are many equivalent fractions that represent the same number. And they could do this forever. And you could ask them, give them 1/2 and 1/4 or, 4/8 and get them to, just by paper folding, just by using a virtual manipulative, just by drawing, just by using the number line, they have to understand that there are many equivalent fractions, because that's what they're going to do when they started looking at addition and subtraction with unlike or uncommon denominators. And then we have exactly one of the infinitely many equivalent fractions is in simplest form. Now, again, this is grade 4, and we're looking at simplest form. And in one of my sessions that I do with this, I talk about the difference between simplest and simpler form, but they have to know the simplest form. So you can see all of that goes into this. So this isn't, I'm taking fractions. There's lots of work before this. This isn't the first one. This is just an example. And then the skills and procedures. So they're going to model equivalent fractions. They're going to determine fractions equivalent to a given fraction. And they'll do that by visuals first, by hands-on fraction blocks. Yolana's going to take you through that this week. What does that look like? You're going to, again, relate the position on with the equivalent fractions on the number line. Number line is very prevalent in the new math curriculum. So you're going to see it actually mentioned, not so much as an achievement indicator like you did before, but actually in the knowledge and the skills and procedures. So they're going to have to know what a number line is and an open number line and how to use it and to demonstrate understanding. Then they're going to have to simplify and then express a fraction in simplest form. So you can see that's quite heavy for grade 4. A lot of work is going to have to be done with that. And there's a lot of visual support that needs to be looked at for yourself, for students to understand that, and for the students. Now, having said that, if you go back, fractions have started earlier now. So we're looking at grade 1 in the new curriculum, where we talk about unit fractions, which is really important. So you're going to, again, this piece with fractions, it is a difficult one. I chose a difficult one. You're going to have to go back a little bit and do some work with that. one of the things that that you just need to know of, this is included in the document on the website. We show this one. It's important for you to know, and it's the vocabulary of the learning outcomes. So if you see anything that says including in the learning outcome, or in the knowledge and understand the cusps, the knowledge, understanding, skills, and procedures, include means that it's required, that students must know, and you must work with the students on that particular those pieces. So here's one for subtraction can be applied. An example, subtraction can be applied in various contexts, including comparing two quantities, taking away one quantity, finding a part of a whole. So when it says including, that means that you should work with those, and the students have to understand that. If it says such as, those are illustrative examples, so that the teacher may use that or have other ideas. You may have better ideas for an example if it's a knowledge, understanding, or learning outcome than the one expressed. So this one, where it says right angles can be identified using various reference, such as the corner of a piece of paper, the angle between the hands on an analog clock, or a capital letter L. So you can use those to identify a right angle, but if you have other ways, by all means, go ahead and use them. And then we have what's in parentheses. And what's in parentheses is the same term, only one is for the language of students and one is for the language of teachers and parents. So the example given, a shape can change orientation or position through slides, which as you see in parentheses, translations, turns, which is rotations, or flips, reflections. In this particular one, many of conversations I have with teachers, they actually use these terms. So it is there, but they may start with the term slide and then move into the terminology, translations, rotations, and reflections. The majority of teachers that I've worked with have said that students have no trouble with that, especially when they do anchor charts, which are visuals on the wall, which show what a slide is, and both terms are used. So those are some of the things that you have to be aware of when reading the curriculum or the various learning outcomes. And the last piece I'm going to go back is the literacy, numeracy, and the competencies. We're going to talk a little bit more about the numeracy tomorrow, but I'm just going to show you what these are the competencies. So the competencies are those knowledge, skills, and characteristics that we want students to use. They will use them within the math part of the day, but they're going to be using them throughout all parts of the day and carry through onto when they leave school permanently, at home at the end of the day and the weekend, and then as they go through at the end of grade 12, or as they go on through further learning. So these are the competencies that students will use throughout every subject area, and they're by grade band. So we have kindergarten, Division 1, and Division 2, and you can see along the side there, you see the competencies. Some of those competencies, and you're going to see also in the numeracy progressions, are some of the process skills that we had in the current program of studies. So we have, I'll just click on so you can see them all. So there's critical thinking, problem solving, research and managing, creativity and innovation, communication, and so on. So these are the competencies that are going to permeate through all the subjects and permeate through all the grades. And then they just tell you at the different grade bands, the complexity of it. So that at kindergarten, this is what they're able to do. And then it gets a little bit more complex, that students will be able to do more with critical thinking in Div 1 and then more with Div 2. So it gets a little deeper, a little bit more complex. And then the numeracy progressions. And again, we're going to talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. Yolanda will go deeper into that. So Alberta Education defines numeracy as acquiring and applying the mathematical knowledge and skills needed to engage with quantitative and spatial information. And that quantitative and spatial information is important. And it's embedded in, again, numeracy in all subject areas. So it isn't just, it's how, when we become numerate, we use it in all areas of our life. And here are again, they're grade bands, they go by progression, and then you see them in the bottom corner. I'm not going to say too much on those because you'll get more tomorrow. awareness, quantitative information, spatial information, interpret, represent, communicate. Again, some of those coming from the current program studies that you use this year. And I say that because you've been doing that. A lot of this you've been doing, it just puts it into a different perspective. It gives you more detail, and it's a little bit more in depth. So that's your numeracy progression. I don't have the literacy progression with on a slide. Okay, now oops, I'm going to go back before we do this. Any questions? I know, Yolanda, that you were looking at the chats. Any questions? Are we good?
No, there's a question here. These documents that you are showing look different than the new Learn Alberta documents. Will you be sharing them with us? Yes. Yes, we will be.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question that you asked, because the cover of these documents I pulled off the new Learn Alberta site.
Yes.
So when you get your URL, you get your sites that Yolanda is going to put up for you. Have a good look and check them, because yeah, I don't know why some of them are different. I do know that one of the documents, the title has changed, and maybe that's one that you were looking at, but you're going to get these anyway. And then you'll be able to compare. So good question. Good question. Okay. What I'm going to do, because we've
actually here, one more thing. Someone said that they created a login during this time and it unlocked some resources, but not others. I just want you to say that when you log in and you do make an account, you should have all of the resources there. Your methodology little books should be there, and so should your gizmos. And so if you personally are not seeing any of them, you will have to drop Alberta Learning a note, just in one of those help me boxes.
Right. And thanks, Yolanda. And what you need to do as well, I did mention that the green, if you have a green lock, anybody can have access to. If it's a red lock, you have to have an account. So first of all, make sure that you have your account and it's activated. And I would go, you can either go to the questions that are on the side there. There's an e-tutor, or go to the teacher guide. The teacher guide has a very nice, simple visual of how to create an account and if there's any questions that you have. So make sure your account is there, it's activated. I do know that some teachers have set their account up through the school. Now, there may be something that the school needs to do, I'm not sure. But regardless, make sure that you have that. And if not, do what Yolanda said and maybe call support. But first thing is to make sure your account is set up properly, which I'm sure it probably is. And then everything should be green.
And Betty, the other thing is, some people are just saying, obviously from their experience, you might try logging out and try logging back in. You do need your teacher certificate to make your account. So if you did not put your teacher certificate in, you might still have things that are locked up. And then someone did make a comment about you can create your own methodology account to access grades K-6. Methodology account is a publisher account, and yeah, there is a free account that you can try for 30 days, but otherwise you would have to pay for access to it for the year. We will talk about resources in our next few days, but that methodology account is totally different from the Alberta Learn account. Okay.
Okay. We're good. Okay, I'll go. We've got about 10 minutes left, which is and nobody had any questions. Everybody's kind of listening. And in a way, again, I'm going to do one more apology for those of you who stayed on, regardless of the fact that you have gone through this. It's good to get a little refresher. We do want to be sure that everybody has the information. So we know now that maybe we need to look again, and maybe in all our sessions, revisit always that account to make sure everybody has that on. I do want to talk a little bit about tomorrow, but before we do this, we have time to do this. So this is just a little review of those critical pieces or those critical components from the program of studies, or sort of the new curriculum. So what I've got on the left side, the right side, sorry, I'll start with the right side, is the meaning. And I've just kind of labeled, lettered them A, B, C, D, and I've put a very brief definition. So we're looking at, for instance, A describes what students are required to know, understand, and be able to do by the end of a grade. So as I went through this, or your experience with that, just a kind of a little reminder, a little check for understanding that I know what that means in general terms. So what I did was just put all the definitions down, and then on the right, what I'm going to do is show one word at a time. So this is not as good as I wanted it to be. I wanted to do more of a matching we don't have time to put you in breakout rooms, but let's just go through this. So I'll show the first one.
Betty,
So-
do you think we could go into breakout rooms? Because I have it ready to go.
Well, if you want to, what I'll do is, will they get this slide? Am I the
Yeah,
person?
I do have their slide ready to go for them.
But is somebody going to be able to click each word on? Because each word has to be clicked.
Okay. Well, we can do this as a waterfall if you want.
Okay, that's what I was going to do. So
Okay,
that's
good.
perfect.
Go
Okay.
for the waterfall.
Okay,
again.
let's go for the waterfall. So it's the same thing as what Yolanda said. So I'm going to click the first one on. I'll give you I think it only goes up to H. I'll give you a little bit of time to look for the definition of organizing idea. Which one is the meaning that goes with that? Put the letter in your chat box, and then when I say go, everybody open it up and see if we have the right one, the right definition. And not to worry if you don't, because there's lots to read. Okay, so choose the letter that you think defines what an organizing idea is.
Do not press return until Betty says go.
Oh, now that I've got it, I don't have the answers here. I gotta look at it myself. Okay.
I do.
Okay, so, all right, press return.
Wow, they got her. It is H. Good job, you guys.
Perfect.
And if you guess
Okay,
it
let's
wrong,
go to the
it's
next one.
okay. That's why we're
Okay.
here.
Okay, so let's go to our guiding question. I tried not to put the word question in the meaning. Okay, let's go.
Man, they're acing this,
Oh, look at
Betty.
them all. It's, you know what, it's so great that at this time they're very participating. Thank you so much. Perfect. Okay, let's go to the next one. Our learning outcome. And go.
Good job, everybody.
Okay. Oh, so what, Yolanda, do you want to call out what the learning outcome definition is?
A. It is A.
Describes what students are required to know, understand, and be able to do by the end of a given grade. Perfect. Okay. Knowledge. And go.
And it is G.
Includes facts and builds towards understanding and skills and procedures. Perfect.
And before you start, do the
Oops.
next one, Betty, I just noticed that some people are starting to leave. If you leave early, you're not going to get today's slides. So hang in on all the links. So hang in there until the end.
Oh, the slides with the links. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's just keep going then. Whoops, sorry.
Yeah.
I'll go a little quicker. Okay. Our understandings and go. Okay.
Understandings is B. Putting
Putting
pieces
pieces
of
of- yeah.
knowledge into logical and meaningful order with the other knowledge.
Perfect. Okay. Next one, skills and procedures. We're almost there, so there's not much choice. I'll let you you can put them in the chat now,
go. It is C.
It's C, yeah, what students do to demonstrate their knowledge and understanding, the competencies, and we'll do the numeracy progressions together. So you can put the two letters side by side.
And go.
Oh, I forgot to say that. Thank you.
It is F and D, competencies.
Yeah. F is the
Yeah.
competencies, and D is our numeracy progressions. So that's, I guess, in a nutshell, what we looked at today. Here's the answers here. Again, this is something that when you get these slides, this is something that the numeracy lead, the district lead, a great little activity to do with staff and teachers when you bring them together. So, okay, so this is just a reminder. Just before we say thank you, and Yolanda shows the slide. This is a reminder for day 2. So tomorrow we're going to look at what is numeracy in mathematics, and it is very, very important because this word numeracy is used so much now. And learning progressions. Look at all the great, we're going to look at all the great resources tomorrow that will support you through ARPDC and talk about sessions, and then we're going to specifically go with resources, putting that all together. We're specifically going to look at and dive into that order of operations and what those components mean.
And I just want to mention that when we talk about learning progressions, there's so many progressions out there that we really want to make sure you understand. One of them is the numeracy progressions. There's also math progressions, and there's also curriculum progressions. So we want to make sure that you are aware of the 3 different types of progressions that are out there right now.
Yeah. And Yolanda brought up a really good point. And again, you know, in 1 week, in an hour and a half, it's really difficult, again, as we said, when everybody's on a different part of the spectrum, what do we focus on? And one of the things that we need to mention continually throughout this, like this matching today, is the vocabulary, because there's going to be so much of it. On Wednesday, you're going to get an understanding of the vocabulary, specifically within skills and procedures, the verbs, but there's so many general words like numeracy, mathematics, learning progression, but things like equivalence, infinity, the math terms as well. There's so much of that that's going to be have to be looked at as well, and hopefully throughout the year we'll help you with that. Okay, so do you have that slide, Yolanda? Is that next?
Yes, I put it into the chat. It is, your link is there. It'll take you to the slide that's called breakouts for day 1. It's just slide number 3 is all of your links that we went to today. And then slide 4 to 13 are slides with just the link on the slide.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, we're 5 minutes ahead of time. I can't believe that. I'm such a chatty Cathy, and I talk so much, and yet I was able to do this. So
this was awesome.
Thank you.
I cannot believe that you guys are here. I'm so happy that you're here. You really do deserve a break. I hope you now go and have a great coffee and just relax for the rest of the day. I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Enjoy the day wherever you are. I hope you have good weather. I know we had thunder and lightning here in Edmonton at the beginning of session, but I'm in my basement. I don't know what's happening now.
It's raining. So those of you who are in Edmonton, get yourself a cup of coffee and just relax and read today and stay indoors for a little bit.
Okay, thank you. And I see some people going to ELL at 10:30. That's awesome.
Okay,
Thank you again for coming by. And Kathy, you and I have to get together, my friend.
Yes, I'm working all summer, so
I
you can
noticed
see
that.
the office behind me.
I can see that. I'm so sad to hear that.
That's okay. We'll connect. But thank you, Betty.
Thank you,
Lana,
thank you.
and,
I think it's
yeah.
Renee.
Renee, yes,